All right, we're gonna try something. Uh, I'm gonna videotape out my window for part of the day today while I clean and watch my videos. If I catch something, I do. If I don't, I don't. I'm gonna learn how to fast forward. I'm gonna learn how to do all that. So, and cut videos and cut out clips. So, I'm learning all that. Uh, this is right in front of my house. There is the intersection, and right there is the light, which you can't see on camera. All right. So they know that I'm videoing, so they might not do anything at all, in which case is fine with me, because then I'll have some fucking peace and quiet for a fucking change. But if they do something, I'll catch it. And if they go by with their sirens and then turn them off after they pass my house, I'll catch that. And there's a whole bunch of shit that goes on right here, right at this corner. So, I figured this was a good place to set it up. All right. Documenting.
And uniqueness due to culture and language and whatnot.
And the goal is to make a cognitive model or map of the victim's brain. Ultimately, the system replicates and digitizes the will, intellect, and emotions, the soul of the targets.
Part of this program. The other part, it's the ruining life of the targeted individual. Yes, this is quite complicated, and that's why many people have trouble explaining it, because it mimics the symptoms of schizophrenia. Let's say, I cannot say a date exactly, but I can say for a fact that what's happening on the side of the psychological torture, on the ruining people's life and relationships, it started before 1950s. It started by the Zionists, or by the Khazarian mafia, or the Ashkenazi Jews. The people who saw my first video, my first interview, I have a full presentation there, so I don't like to repeat myself, but I will just make a very short introduction for people who don't know what gang stalking is. So these people used to carry pictures and carry all the details they could put their hands on of the people who didn't, go along with their agendas, and the people they didn't like. And they started smear campaigns, and they started lying about those people and start ruining their relationships. You can say like a narcissistic psychopath would do nowadays, to bring it more into our era of people to understand it. Yes, and technology started to develop I don't know if you can say discovered, because as we know, or at least the part of us know, that army is like 20, 30, 50 years ahead of what the public knows. So at least from the public records, we know that the technology, the mind control technology, was discovered in the 1960s. So, it's very hard to put all the pieces together because, the classified documents and stuff. But I did try to make a short resume so people can understand what I'm talking about. So talking about these Ashkenazi Jews, they used to live somewhere where the Ukraine is today. The region of the world was part of Russia, and the Tsar of Russia basically knew what kind of people they were, and he just got rid of them, like they kicked them out. And then they went to Germany. That's why most of the people and everybody who does research, if digs a bit, they land into, you know, the Stasi police and the Zersetzung. Many know about this program as it has the roots in the Zersetzung program in Germany. And somehow, the Zersetzung program is very similar to the COINTELPRO program run by the FBI. You see how, I don't want to say I'm a conspiracy realist, but you know, somehow I cannot be bullshitted and I cannot be lied to, and somehow I can put the pieces together.
Marry me.
As you can see, if you compare the two agencies, the Stasi police in Germany and the COINTELPRO, the FBI in USA, they are saying that they were enemies, right? Back in the days. They were fighting in the Second World War. But how is that possible that the same, I mean, the intelligent agencies of both countries are using the same tactics and techniques? Isn't that a bit of, you know, just think about it. If you look at the COINTELPRO, it was the same thing as the Zersetzung. People were commonly targeted on a preventative basis for political incorrect activities they may have gone on to perform. So basically, you don't have to do anything, just because I don't know how you landed on the list, but I guess as you land on the terrorist list today and on the gang stalking list, if someone from inside say, okay, he's a terrorist, they will just put you on. Because these lists are classified and you cannot access them, so you don't know all the criteria one needs to, you know, to go on those lists. It's very confusing. And that's why people have trouble, you know, explaining it. Plus, the gang stalking program also includes the drugging of the targets. It also includes the poisoning of the targets. It also includes
This truck right here is driving by normally.
Like putting thoughts in someone's minds and deleting memories.
When they're not
like
being
the
recorded, there's a
technology.
certain noise that
And
they make with their
all this is also
vehicles
done.
that only targets can detect.
You see,
Because
all
it's
this is
aimed
not
at
like
you.
only one thing or like two things.
If they
It's
do
like
it, I'll point it out.
It's like a complex program. Like, in
But
order
like I
for the
said,
brain
I don't
to
think
be
they're gonna
easily
do it because they know I'm
manipulated, the brain needs
recording.
to be in a certain state.
But we'll
you know?
see.
And in order for the brain to be in a certain state, they must drug you. And when they drug you, and your brain gets to that certain state, then they can bombard you with a certain frequencies for the frequencies to be more effective.
Do you think that they're also, you know, people that they can't drug, that maybe they're getting certain psychics or telepathics to go into people's dreams and to be able to target them in their dreams, so when they wake up they maybe have been attacked, but they don't know, they just think that it's a dream or something that the universe has brought to them?
Have you seen the movie Inception, I think it's called?
Yes, I have.
When they are it's like intellectual property theft. What they are doing, it's doing the same thing. Let's separate the two. I like to focus on the technology part. I do agree, and I cannot say I know because I haven't practiced it, but going on the side of spiritual side, you know, like you mentioned, like a psychic and astral travel from the body, and I don't want to go that way because I know that I cannot know for a fact, but usually they mix the two together, and that's why people are confused and cannot explain it, because you cannot catch a ghost if you put it that way. Like they are operating on very low frequencies, and
My
they
ghost is
are
alive and well.
blaming it. If you look at certain people, they are blaming it on entities. So okay, you cannot put a ghost in jail, or a fourth, fifth, sixth dimension entity in jail. So they like to promote that idea of, something out of our realm. It's doing it, so, it's not us. But we have technology to do it. And I know, talking about dream manipulation is possible. Because they did it to me, and I explained it into my book. And talking about dream manipulation, I spoke to someone a few days ago, and he said, man, the same thing you're explaining in the book happens to me. Like, basically, dream manipulation, they are manipulating the dream for multiple purposes. Remote interrogation, like you said, to influence the subconscious, so people would, believe that, the universe is showing me certain signs and I should do certain things. So that's for the manipulation. And also, they are streaming our thoughts on the dark web, like voyeuristic kind of stuff. Like the Truman Show, but the Truman Show with a step further, which is streaming our brains and subconscious minds on the dark web to the, audiences. And sometimes what they are doing in these dreams, you as a person you are manipulated, basically what you are doing is you are experiencing as if you are the spectator of the dream, And you cannot control what's happening. But they are putting you in embarrassing situations as if to show the people that, you see, is his subconscious mind acting in this way, so he's a bad person. After they doing it to you for a couple of times, and you realize and you accept the fact that the technology is real, when you realize, wait, that's not me, I'm not acting this way, they are waking you up like, bam, bam, again and again. And then they can control and manipulate you again. They will do anything to destroy your reputation and to control you and to influence you. That's a big, big thing. Yes, it's possible.
When's the first time you were kind of awake and aware that things are potentially not right here, that the government isn't God, that, the things that they're teaching in the schools are about indoctrination and not about, trying to open up and expand people's minds? Like, when were you first aware that this world is very, very corrupted, run by a certain small group of parasites?
Well, I always was a rebel and not easy to control, starting from my second grade when they tried to indoctrinate me with religion, and I was kicked out from the class. They were telling me the 10 Commandments, and I would just argue with the teacher, and then he would kick me out of the class because I told him, okay, prove me this or prove me that, explain me this or explain me that. So I was always, kind of awake since like childhood, and I was always like a wild kid. And I was always into like conspiracy theorists, and I was always into like alternative research. Unfortunately, I didn't came across gang stalking until I became a target and a victim of the program. And even then, you know how I started looking into it? After everything happened to me, like they poisoned me, they drugged me, they ruined my life, they stole from me, they tried to kill me, I was on a state where they basically drugged me and poisoned me to the state where I was like a zombie. If people would have said, okay, let's go and do this or let's go and do that, I was just like walking with them. And at that point, my brother, but it wasn't my brother, called my mother and told her to take me to the psychiatrist. I went to the psychiatrist and I had a very weird conversation with a psychiatrist, and I felt like something isn't right. It's either this psychiatrist involved or
No.
I'm really losing my mind, even though I was, completely destroyed, like my brain was damaged. And I couldn't agree with the idea that I'm going insane. Like, no, I'm not. I'm smart, I'm handsome, I'm powerful. I'm not going insane. So I was like starting doing the research. I was like, okay, let's Google mind reading. Is mind reading possible? It's this possible? Is that possible? And I came across, like I wrote in my book, on a video called Gang Stalking Program Explained. And I watched that video on YouTube and was like connecting the dots. I was like, okay, so it is possible to read minds. It is possible to influence minds. It is possible for the people to, in the public transport, for example, sitting next to you and, you know. So basically that video confirmed a big chunk of what happened to me. And that video took me down deep to a few rabbit holes about, you know, government involvement in mind control and all that sort of stuff. And then I realized that the secret services are involved. And then I realized that I have someone, a former friend who worked for the secret services, and he was also harassing me and sabotaging me and bullying me. And you know, slowly and slowly I was putting the pieces together. Like, you know, everything I put in my book, it's everything what happened to me. And, you know, something happening to you. For example, when my brother called my mom and tell her to take me to the psychiatrist, I spoke to him after, I don't know, maybe 1 year, a long time. And I asked him, I said, why do you send me to the psychiatrist, and how do you know the psychiatrist? And he told me, I don't know the psychiatrist. I didn't call. I was like, if you didn't call, then who did? You know, I mean, okay, I'm not insane. My mother is not insane. I mean, okay, let's say I'm losing my mind, but my mother is losing her mind too. And losing her mind in such a way that the voice of the call told her the name of the psychiatrist. I mean, come on. I'm talking about coincidences, but this is a plot to kill me. I mean, it's not, you know, coincidence. It's not like a voice in my head told me something. And it's just too much. I mean, you know, they are so confident in their abilities and in their programs and in their authority that they just don't give up. You know what? They're just doing it, throwing it in your face, and it's just like, okay, you know what? What are you going to do about it? And I don't like that kind of attitude. And that's why I went very, very deep down the rabbit hole, and every single experience that I had, I've put it in my book. Some, like the dream, I couldn't collect any evidence on it, but I've explained it the best I could for the people to understand. And just a few days ago, I had someone confirm it that, yeah, it happened to me. So basically, what happened to me is happening to everyone, because here it's a pattern. It's not just random. That's why you can tell it's a program, and it's something more than just a coincidence, or just a revenge of your ex, or revenge of your boss, or I don't know, something, or you're losing your mind. It's a pattern. If you take a list, you can just stick, okay, what happened to you? Tick. This happened, voice to skull happened to you? Yes. Remote neural monitoring, someone next to you in a public space, like said something what you said in private, tick. Yes. So you can tick all the boxes. Like every targeted individual went through the same experience. And when you see so many people with so many things in common, you cannot just dismiss it like, okay, you're all nuts. We are all nuts, but we cannot all be nuts.
All right, so these motherfuckers, is that fucking Monroe ambulance at the light?
Things like you cannot, you know, just dismiss it like, okay, you're.
No.
They're too confident.
Okay, they're not gonna pull anything because they know that I am filming.
They had a gypsy come to me and say, like in 6 months.
If you want to watch the entire video of what I'm watching, I'll tell you what it's called.
I mean,
and I posted it on the Facebook page, my target story. If you want to watch it, it's a very good video.
Elizabeth here, she said she was a targeted individual as well.
It's called
and they said
Viral
that they would break into her
Serve.
home and leave items
Second
that they
interview.
would leave to terrorize her.
Gang
So sometimes
stalking.
items would just show up in her house.
Schizophrenia Global.
To terrorize
I just
her.
posted
So
it
there's
a couple
lots of
days
people that
ago.
have been, targeted by
I haven't
certain
watched the
groups,
first interview
or
yet,
maybe even it's
but
artificial
this one is
intelligence.
very good.
That's leading these groups. These think tanks are led by this AI, which
I'm going to
shows
leave
them
this
what
in
to do and who to
the
target.
window for another 10 minutes,
really
making
glad.
this a 30-minute
I
video.
did before I joined this conversation with you today? For the last
We'll
3
see
hours,
if we can get anything at all.
I was talking
Okay.
to the AI. And you know how? I jailbreak
Once I get
it.
those
Like,
cameras,
I
though, they ain't going to be
jailbreak
able to hide
Like
shit
hacking?
because they're going to be up
like
and monitoring
hacking into
and
it to
running
make
24
him,
hours a day.
do and
And I'm going to find out
say
a way
things
to keep them
the
from
way
being
he
hacked.
does it.
Okay? If
And
I have to go back
he-
to school and learn
Targeted individuals
computer
are not
technology, I motherfucking will.
targeted by
I don't give
AI.
a shit how old I am.
Going back to the beginning of the video, to the some sort of entities, they will come with all sorts of hypotheses and exaggerations and everything to blame everybody else but themselves. As I explained in my first interview, is the Jews, is the Freemasons, and all the governmental institutions,
Secret societies.
secret societies, all these satanic,
Cults.
I don't know how to, organizations or groups or whatever you want to call it. Plus, on top of that, very important for everyone to remember, let's take Church of Scientology. They are doing the same things to their members, like the gangs of, like the targeted individuals are going through. The founder of Church of Scientology is a 33-degree Freemason. Like I explained in my first interview, they are using the same tactics and techniques on like superstars, presidents, and everybody else who they want to control. Another shady organization created by them, it's Anonymous. Anonymous is basically created by the same people who I call the slave masters. The Jesuits, the Jews, and the Freemasons. The army and the secret services. These are the most powerful organizations. The rest are just like little branches, if you want to say, call them that way, or like subcontractors. Because basically, like I explained in my first interview with private firms, and I was about to talk about that. And I took some notes here, which I will explain. So, how do we start for the people to understand? All these organizations, all these private security firms, all these mafia groups, all these, I don't know what else it is out there, AI entities and whatever, it's not. As I said, it's the Jews, the Jesuits, so it's the Israel, the Vatican, and London, the Freemasons. So these three powerful organizations and the secret services and the army, like I said, 5, are controlling everything. What they did to avoid liabilities and to avoid people going to them because they kind of messed it up with the MK Ultra. So now what they did, they subcontracted
Sounds like one of those vehicles. Yeah.
the torture and the program. They gave the technology to themselves practically, but they created this, security firms here and organizations there and mafia groups here, but they are all connected.
Sounds like
Non-governmental agencies that can take them away from being liable. That
Yeah,
actually doing.
clearances and all that stuff. Exactly. And this technology, it's, you know what I did? They throw the Trojan horse out in the public by subcontracting everything. And then the UN came in 2021 with
I'm
the
gonna do
challenge
this all day long,
to let the
so
people solve the problem. It's out of
if
hand.
I
and
catch
it's gonna
something,
be
I'm
solved
definitely gonna post it.
unless the government,
I'll cut the videos and chop
the
them
governments
so that
around
you
the
don't
world
have to watch
are
for
coming up
an
with
entire
laws,
half hour to see the incident.
legislations, and are
But
allowing
they know I'm recording.
companies,
They've got cameras in my house.
engineers,
So, and they've got remote
and
neural
people to
monitoring, which I'm not
develop
even ready to
weapons,
even get into
develop
with you yet.
technologies to prove that is happening.
So, they know
But
exactly what I'm
so
doing at
far,
all
it
times.
is
They know where I'm
illegal.
looking. They know what I'm
And I
seeing.
say it again,
They
illegal
know what I'm hearing.
to own a jammer that interferes with those
I'm like an
frequencies they're using to
avatar.
control you. Is it illegal to own a scanner
like
that
avatars.
detects those frequencies because it's for national security?
In an organized
So,
harassment ring.
I mean, think about it.
Honestly, that's what we are.
First, it's illegal to detect it.
So,
And when you talk about it, you are
I'm gonna leave it
labeled
on
as
for another 3
schizophrenic
minutes, and then I'm going to
mentally
start
ill.
recording again.
And
And
then
if I
you are
catch anything
powerless,
today,
basically.
I will chop
and
it up
once you
and
are
I
labeled as
will
mentally ill,
post
there is
them.
nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
I mean, once you're labeled as mentally ill, you have to go back to them to
In Canada here, they're just making laws. I believe they did it in British Columbia. I think they're trying in different provinces to make it deemed that anyone who questions, or anybody that questions the government, that they can deem them mentally ill and can lock them up indefinitely. So that's the next step that they're trying to take, is that anyone who is speaking out, that they can deem as crazy and be able to force drug them and lock them up, potentially indefinitely.
yeah, the psychiatry is an extension of the law. The psychiatric industry is pseudoscience. I mean, basically, it's based on nothing, and it's used to control people, not to help people. Thomas Saz has some good videos online, but I think he's dead already, and not much information of him on the internet. Also, there is another psychiatrist called
So that's the next step that they're trying to take, is that anyone who is speaking out, that they can deem as crazy and be able to force drug them and lock them up, potentially indefinitely.
yeah, the psychiatry is an extension of the law. The psychiatric industry is pseudoscience. I mean, basically, it's based on nothing, and it's used to control people, not to help people. Thomas Saz has some good videos online, but I think he's dead already, and not much information of him on the used to control people, not to help people. Thomas Saz has some good videos online, but I think he's dead already, and not much information of him on the internet. Also, there is another psychiatrist called Colin Ross, which studied psychiatry in Canada, I think, University of Alberta. Alberta is in Canada, right?
Yeah.
In 1981. So he's talking about the MK Ultra. It's not that, like, it's, I can find the right word to describe it. It's disappointing, and it's horrible what's happening to people, because this is mostly happening to good people and to smart people. And it's heartbreaking to see parasites thriving and good people being killed. That's why I decided to not give up and not give in.
They're not going to play.
They offered me money to join them.
But I'm going to
They
turn this
started
off
for
and turn it back on
€100,000
until they do.
of dollars.